When I first saw this story, I was really torn between whether I thought they were taking advantage of people or giving them something that would actually be like good for them. And I'm still not maybe 100% sure where I land on it, but we'll find out on today's Not So Critical update.
I think you need to do your diversity training, Mike. You have to go and ask these people how do they feel about it.
Be more sensible.
So I actually agree with this 100%. I think this is a really good thing. One, you're not like forcing them into labor. You're going to them, you're saying, hey, you can't work.
Sorry, I just want to prepare our audience for positive Jon, because this is a rare occurrence. We're happy to have him on the show today. This is a Jon that only comes by every once in a while and has got some good things to say about the world. Go ahead.
And also, Jon, if anybody's listening to just the audio, say what the story, what it is.
The story is that it recently dropped. Basically, a Japanese cafe is using robots controlled by paralyzed people to run said cafe. The robots are serving drinks and food and basically doing anything largely that a human waiter or busser would do. And why is this good? So actually, take it back. Totally bad. Net negative.
just like that. That was
so. Why is this good? One, it's not like it's forced labor. That'd be really bad. They're being approached. They say, "Hey, let's not beat around the bush. You can't fucking do anything."
That's like, you can't work in this cafe.
We're hooking you up to this robot.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what you do now.
No, that would be terrible. But some countries would probably that might be an option for them, which is terrible. So they're being approached to say, hey, no beating around the bush. You literally can't work. Any work that you can do would be very limited in scope and industry. Here's an opportunity for you to make some money if you would like. 100% optional. I can't say for sure that I would jump on this. I'm not paralyzed. But I imagine that if someone approached me and I was paralyzed and they said, we can make you some money and all you have to do is this, I would take that opportunity. I think this is actually really inclusive because what's stopping them from just taking normal people to control the fucking robots?
So what's the negative part of it? You said I thought you.
No, I was kidding.
Okay.
No negative. I cannot see a negative here. I think this is only good. They're including people who are really struggling and putting money in their pocket. I can't see anything negative about it. And I think it's super cool. Like, this is kind of the other way of automation, where instead of removing a workforce, you transition them into behind the desk employees.
Yeah, the only negative, I guess, is I foresee how it's going to get abused already. Like, in itself, this seems great. They've got a handful of people. Like you said, this helps them have a job where they might not be able to work otherwise. The technology is really cool. I don't know. Maybe that's not a reason.
Yeah.
Some examples.
I don't know. I guess so. It's the technology proves a couple of things. One is that you don't have to be there physically. So the work doesn't have to be outsourced to paralyzed people. It could be outsourced to destitute people who are willing to work for pennies an hour or whatever, which I imagine is where it's headed. Like, if we said like, oh, this is great, it's just going to be a work program for paralyzed people, and that's all that'll ever come of it, like, yeah, awesome, absolutely do it. But that's never the end of the line.
I agree that
it's not a reason not to do it. I agree
it can be abused
unreservedly
in the way you're putting it, but like, we are talking about Japan. Japan does have labor laws. I don't know how good they are, but they do have minimum wage. If all you want to do is live in your parents' basement and play video games all day, this is the job for you. Like, that's what you want in life? Like, okay, your parents are hounding you for a job. This is perfect for you. Like, really, it's the truth. And could this also be, if we think about it, this could also be used to train a model, an AI model, to do their job for them. So just from the data collected over a span time of 5 years of 2,000 robots in various settings and various cafes doing all the tasks that need to be done to take care of a cafe, I can see it now.
Oh, maybe this is the Tesla bot.
So very iffy on, I guess, where this could be headed. In the present, this is really good.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Peter, you're very perplexed. What do you got?
Oh, no. I'm trying to figure out where I fall on it. My first reaction was that it feels a bit like, well, it feels slightly gimmicky, which feels slightly exploitative. But then there's restaurants I've heard about where they serve you in the dark by blind people, and you have to eat with your hands because you don't know you can't see what you're eating and stuff. And it's part like showing people what it's like to be blind, but also part giving blind people a job where seeing doesn't matter, which is good. So I think maybe this is one of those situations where it's a sort of mix. There's no real black or white. It's just a technology that exists that's being used in a certain way, and it's kind of good. I don't. If it's if it's cheap to deploy, then the ultimate outcome is going to depend on the humans and the corporations involved, which generally tends downward, morally. But I don't think that's necessarily related to this. That's inherent to this way of doing things.
Yeah,
I think fundamentally my issue is that service jobs are something that kind of have to happen locally, and it's an important part of the local economy because this is where people work. If you say now restaurants in this city no longer require people who live in the city to work at them because they're going to be robots that are actually controlled by people who knows where else for much less money, that's an economic problem for the town itself. True. Now, is that a reason not to do it that way? Ultimately, no, because we still have to solve that problem. But short term, at least, it'll definitely be a problem.
But it's an economic problem for that town itself. But doesn't it become an economic opportunity for some remote town where nobody visits? Does it balance out?
Yes, depends on the exploitive. It depends on how exploitive the company is. Take outsourcing IT, for example. Outsourcing devs. This is a very common practice in startup culture. You don't hire in your city. You're only 3 or 4 people in a high cost of living city, founders, and you hire people in Ukraine or Brazil or India, and you pay them nothing for the same amount of work, more or less, that someone in your hometown would do. But instead of paying that person $100,000, $200,000, you're paying these people $10,000. I could see a future where this is the case, and they're just going to continue to be exploited because of their cost of living.
The other reason that's different is because if I'm the programmer that lost that job, I could do the same thing to somebody else in another town. If I work at a restaurant and all the restaurants move to this model, now there's no place for me to go. I'm just unemployed. I either have to pick a new industry to work in, I have to get retrained, I'm unemployed. The impact, one of the problems with the US economy is that we moved so far away from community capitalism that that is a huge part of the problem. And this is only going to make it worse.
Yeah, this drives anti-innovative sentiment across towns. Take mining towns, for example. When we switched away from coal, America was in mental ruins.
Yeah.
Because there's tens of thousands of these people who their whole livelihood relied on coal, and their fathers and grandfathers all were work in the mines, and now this has been snatched up by gasoline all of a sudden overnight. Same with the electricity industry, like, and so on and so forth. Same with electrical cars. And this is just another step. It brings me always, when we talk about futuristic stuff like this, it always brings me back to Marshall Brain, shout out, and to his book, Mana, where it's like, no matter the path that capitalism takes, we end up in this super skewed place of like poverty being out of control and the rich just getting richer.
And the coal mining's a good example of both sides of this. It's not that these people are going to lose their jobs is not a reason to keep using coal. However, you also have to address economically what are these people going to do, and we don't do that. So that's the yes, the progression is good. Yes, the technology is better. Yes, these create lots of opportunities for people who wouldn't otherwise have them. But it's going to leave a lot of other people hanging completely unaddressed, and that's
and socialist democracies in Europe and other places do try to tackle this problem with cash in hand welfare programs, where if you literally can't get a job, the government will take care of you. What does that do for you, though, as a person? Like, what does that do to you internally, mentally, saying, I am unemployable, I cannot work, I have to rely on the taxpayers to take care of me? It's a tough one. We got way farther than what the article is about. I do want to say that this was a two-week pilot program for these robots. I think that they're looking to open a cafe to do this full time.
You shouldn't call them robots, man. They're real people. You know.
Okay, Peter.
Also, I just noticed the article is actually from 2018, so maybe there's some follow-ups.
Really? Oh, we're gonna have to do. Okay, we'll have to do a follow-up on this.
I guess it hasn't been the downfall of humanity yet, but
not yet. Or Japan's being served by all robots, and we haven't even heard.
Nobody knows it.